Hey guys, this is my survey on Are You a Good Digital Citizen? I included 2 demographic questions, gender and grade, and I developed these questions based on the top 3 characteristics from the survey we took for this class. Here are my top 3 characteristics. Number 1, makes appropriate decisions when communicating through a variety of digital tools. Number 2, protects personal information from outside forces that might cause harm. And number 3, upholds basic human rights in all forums. Now, my top 3 characteristics were a little bit different than the class average, and also different from the infographic on digital citizenship here. My number 1 characteristic is listed at number 4 here. My number 2 characteristic was number 8, and my number 3 characteristic was number 7. So let's take a look at the survey. Like I said, I included 2 demographic questions, gender and grade. I'm not going to go through all of these questions. We'll highlight the ones that I feel are most important. I think just about like everybody else, I included the question, have you ever had a conversation with a complete stranger online? Has someone, a friend or a stranger, asked you not to tell your parents about your online conversation? Usually when that happens, it means that it's not a very good conversation. I included a question about clickbait because I always see clickbait. And 2 questions I included here. They're kind of the same, but just a little bit of difference. If you saw a friend's post that was intentionally harmful or embarrassing to someone you know, would you say something to your friend? And the next question says the same thing, but it's for someone you didn't know. Would you say something to your friend? So I was kind of interested in that question, and I wanted to see how the respondents answered it. So let's take a look at it. As you can see, I had 22 responses. Almost 64% were female. 36.5% were male. Most of the respondents were 7th graders, and I had a few sophomores mixed in there. Here's the question I thought was important. Have you ever had a conversation with a complete stranger online? Over half of them said no, so that's good. But when we get down to the questions where we talked about if you saw a friend's post that was intentionally harmful or embarrassing to someone you know, would you say something to your friend? And as you can see, I gave them the maybe option, not just the yes and no. But we see that almost 60% said yes, which is good. And if it was for the same question, if it was somebody that they didn't know that their friend was talking about, would they say anything to their friend? And as you can see, the numbers change quite a bit. So let's look at these questions broken down in this spreadsheet. There's my form responses there. We're only supposed to include 2, but because these 2 questions were so similar, I decided to add them just to see if there was a difference. Let's go ahead and look at the first one. Have you ever had a conversation with a complete stranger online? 3 males and 2 female 7th graders said that they did, which accounted for 15% and 9%. The interesting thing is with the male and female sophomores, the number was flipped. Granted that there wasn't as big a number of sophomores surveyed as 7th graders, but I still included them with the total amount. If you jump to the first question about your friend's post, obviously the first number that jumps out on the page is this one right here, 41%. 9 7th grade females said that if they saw a friend's post that was intentionally harmful or embarrassing to someone that they knew, they would say something to their friend. So that makes me feel pretty good about the 7th grade females. For the males, they only, out of all the ones surveyed, all the 7th grade males surveyed, only one of them said that they would say something. So while I feel good about the females stepping up and saying something to their friend, I can't say the same for the males. And if you take a look at the female category from the 7th grade to sophomores, you can see that that number changes drastically. And you know, from 7th grade to 10th grade, that's not a lot of years, but at this age, that's a lot of maturity. So based on this number, something happens between the grades of 7th grade and 10th grade, where not as many females surveyed said that they would say something to one of their friends. So let's go to the second question. I included this one, like I said, to see if there was any difference between if they knew the person that their friend was talking about and if they didn't. And I think you can see here that there is quite a bit of a difference. 2 of those females who just answered that they would say something to their friend if they knew the person that their friend was talking about, they either said that they wouldn't say anything or they said that they might say something. So that number changed from 9 to 7, and from 41% to 32%. But look down here. You know, like I said, this is a smaller sample size, but as you can see, there wasn't anybody in the sophomore demographic that said that they would say anything if it was about somebody they didn't know. So I guess it's based on these numbers, it's safe to say that when students get older, they tend to intervene, I guess you could say, less than they would when they were a younger student. So based on all these numbers and going through this survey, I think that this assignment was a really good assignment. If for no other reason that it let the students know that we surveyed, that the ones that responded, that somebody does care about what they do online, and it kind of opens up the conversation. What's proper etiquette online? What do you do when a stranger wants to talk with you or makes you feel uncomfortable, or somebody says, hey, don't tell your parents about this conversation, or when somebody sees somebody that's being bullied online, do you do anything? Do you step up and say, hey, this isn't right, or do we just kind of take ourselves out of the picture and just kind of let things happen? You know, as educators, we see it all the time. Our students, a lot of our students aren't, they don't have the best situation at home, and you know, by going through this survey that we created, that we presented to them, it's saying, hey, you know, watch what you do online. Make sure you're responsible, you're resourceful, and you're behaving in a manner that's appropriate. So, you know, like I said, I believe this was a really good conversation, and I think that we need to do a better job as educators in presenting this information to them so that they can safely participate online. Because, you know, online participation, I guess you'd say, it's definitely not going away. It's only going to get more and more in depth. So it's important that we prepare our students for this digital age.